Hey guys, today is going to be something powerful. We're talking about young men. Young men. Today, we're going to dive into one of the most urgent challenges facing young men today. It's dealing with raising boys and teens in the age of social media and how men can grow and lead them with clarity, courage, and conviction right here on TMF Warrior. Today, however, life has changed for the youth of this world. It is getting crazy out there, as we all know. We see it everywhere, especially on the young men. It's affecting them. We men are more visually built. I think we all know that. DNA, it's proven. Women are emotionally based, men are visually based, and it's not getting better out there. It is getting more and more intrusive into our lives. I want to talk today start with a story that I have, and it's about social media and how it's taking over the minds of teenagers everywhere. And it isn't just a distraction. Let me tell you, it's a battleground for identity. Our sons are growing up in a world where, likes define worth, and comparison, it's constant. And it's not just for girls. Let me tell you something. This is for men as well, and we are facing it. Boys today have pressures that they have never imagined before. Listen, I grew up in the 60s, 70s. I didn't have to face what they're facing today. More and more boys are living with this thing here called social media, called a smartphone. Is it really smart, or is it dumbing us down? I don't know. They look at everything on here, and like I said, here's what they do. They'll sit there, they'll stare at something, they'll go through funny things, and before you know it, this algorithm will flip them to see a pretty girl. Well, what young man's not going to look at that, right? But then the algorithm will drive that into say, oh, you want more of this? Let me give you a little more drug. And so they'll begin to see that. And listen, every girl is going to post themselves and brush themselves in such a way that they're beautiful. And boys are going to have a tough time turning away. So when they see a woman who is so beautiful on social media that every other girl can't compare, what happens to our society? Or men on social media, as an example, who are so successful that they make others feel like immediate losers with no hope. Ever seen this guy? I'm going to show you a video of this young man. I think it's called The School of Hard Knocks. He seems like a great guy. But watch this video for just 30 seconds or so, and I'd like to make a comment when you get back.
Excuse me, man. Quick question for you. Is this your Rolls Royce?
Yeah, yes, sir.
What do you do for a living?
This will be my 11th year in the NFL. My name's Tavon Austin. So
What has been the most amount of money that you ever made in a single year?
multiple seven figures.
The business is 60 million, and then a couple of million for myself.
I probably made 11 million.
In my last role, I was the chief operating officer for a $700 million business called Health Management Systems.
And did you guys end up selling your company?
We did. We sold it to a private equity company for about...
Now, this young man, he brags that he has millions of followers, making his own millions. But what has he brought to the table to make young men better? I mean, let's be honest with you. I mean, I'm in my late 50s, early 60s. I can't compare with what I'm seeing here. And I can understand where my life is. But for these young men starting their lives, they're a little overwhelmed. They're a little intimidated, probably greatly intimidated. Sadly, here's the thing. If these young men are not taught that life does not work this way, they're going to look to influencers instead of their fathers for guidance. That's the truth. And that will make them even more hopeless. So we've got to ask ourselves, here's the question we asked today, and I wrote it down. What kind of men are we raising? Are we equipping them to stand firm? Or are we letting our corrupted culture shape them? You want to hear some troubling statistics? I'm going to refer to this document that I just pulled up earlier. Let me read you just a few. Prevalence of porn use among young men today. 53% of young men age 18 to 29 report weekly porn use. 35% of regular viewers feel unable to control their usage, indicating compulsive behavior. They're slaves to this thing here. Listen to this one. Problematic porn use has lead to depression, anxiety, and isolation. That's from Psychology Today. And it can lead to a condition called anhedonia, a reduced ability to enjoy real life experiences. Young men, are you watching this? I hope you are. I know that some of you feel this way. And regular consumption fosters unrealistic expectations about intimacy and body image, leading to dissatisfaction in real relationships. Exactly what I was saying earlier. The problem for a lot of these men is they both see themselves as losers, but then they see these women that they become addicted to the image. And then they go and they become slave to fulfill that desire. Many of them slaves to masturbation. And then they look at the other girls and say, well, they don't compare, so why would I even want to date? You heard about these young men that live in the dungeons playing video games. Now these video games have become so perverted. And I believe one of the smart AI systems known as Grok by Elon Musk has become so perverted that the images of girls are pornographic. Voluptuous, pornographic, beautiful. They're perfect in every way. How is any girl going to compare to that? And therefore, what are women going to be treated like? Here's the problem. Porn addiction, I'm reading continually. Porn addiction is associated with declining birth rates and reduced interest in marriage and family formation. What? Are you surprised? I don't think so. Less and less people are getting married. Early exposure, now listen to this, early exposure, average age 10 to 11, is common, shaping distorted views of sex and relationships. All of this is you can do a search out on the internet, on ChatGPT to find this out. Here are some of the results of the perverse society that we live in. Now, many of you admire Elon Musk. He's incredible. He's a genius. Elon, I hope you're watching. I think very highly of you in a lot of ways, but in the ways of your morality, brother, you got some issues, man. And let me tell you, Elon Musk is encouraging men to have children so that the earth, you ready for this, will populate again. And I'm a big believer in family and children. They are the blessing of the Lord. The word teaches it. But he himself has 14 kids with 4 different women, I believe, maybe 5, but 4 different women for sure. And here is a news article from People magazine. Let me read this to you. Elon Musk has 14 children with 4 different women. His first 6 children were with his ex-wife, Justine Wilson, from 2000 to 2008. He has 3 children with singer-songwriter Grimes. I don't even know how to say these names. XAEA-X to the II power, Exadark, Sideral, and Technomechanicus. That is his children. Additionally, he has 3 children with Siobhan Zillis, born in 2021, 22, and 24. Elon has expressed, this is the kicker, a belief in the importance of having more children to combat global underpopulation. Now, I firmly believe that we went the wrong way. When I was a child, I'll never forget hearing the stories about overpopulating the earth. We all know this. I mean, China went to the one-child policy, right? And now they're severely underpopulated, and they're struggling to be able to fill jobs and do things. People, it didn't work. So now we're fully underpopulated. The momentum can't keep up with all the things happening. Now, what are we going to see? Well, I'm sure Elon probably has a solution. He's building robots. Robots are going to take over the earth. But what happens to humans? What happens to the children of God, the children of Almighty God? He keeps, and here's the part I just want to mention. Lastly, about his 14th child, Romulus, is from a woman he was willing to pay $15 million to keep quiet. This is all in the news. Here's an excerpt from that story on ET. I believe this is Entertainment Times. Take a look at this clip and see for yourself.
Billionaire Elon Musk has named his son with influencer Ashley St. Clair, Romulus, as per reports. This comes after the 26-year conservative influencer accused the 53-year-old Tesla and ex-owner of offering her $15 million as a one-time fee to remain silent. Musk also offered $100,000 per month for the child till he turns 21. Musk has not publicly acknowledged he is the father of the child. St. Clair and Musk are currently locked in a legal battle, with Musk required to take a paternity test to ascertain his fatherhood. The test ascertains he is 99.9999% likely to be the father. Musk claims he has provided St. Clair at least $2.5 million to date in March. Jared Burchell, Musk's fixer, told St. Clair the deal for her silence is similar to what Musk has agreed with the other mothers of his children.
Yes, he wants to repopulate the world, but in a way that is both humanistic and ungodly in moral standard. I mean, it's not the way God has designed us. Now, on our show, TMF Warrior, what does that stand for? Right below it. The manhood frequency. If you've looked up above me and you've seen it, and I'm sure you have, and you know the book, The Manhood Frequency, this is about living life on the right frequency, about living life by a moral standard. Children are a blessing of the Lord, and I'm a big fan of having many children. Catholic families having 4, 5, 6, 7. I personally have 4 children. I would love to have 15 grandchildren. And by the way, a little sidebar, check this out. My dad had 10 kids, 21 grandkids, 13 great-grandkids, I believe, and 3 great-great-grandchildren before he passed away at 93 years old. That's amazing. But let me say this. I don't care if you're a Jew, a Christian, a Muslim, Hindu, or Buddhist, or atheist. We all know that his way, Elon Musk's way of populating this earth is inconsistent with moral teachings of all these religions. So, with that said, here's another video I want to share with you of what's happening and what's going to cause a tremendous amount of problems. All right. Now, it goes back to this idea that we went the wrong way. We underpopulated. Now, we need to populate, but we don't need to do it Elon Musk way. We need to do it the biblical God way. And, you know, I believe that we are all Abraham's children. And I do believe that we all come from that seed of Abraham. And we want to do good by faith. You know, faith, I always say, and you've heard me say this, F-A-I-T-H, is full assurance in trusting him. So I want to show you some evidence, and this is just a short clip, how pornography affects youth addiction consequences and solutions. We're going to talk about the solutions in a minute, but this is a deep dive into early exposure to porn shapes behavior. And it does. Watch this.
Exposure to pornography equals negative effects, particularly for young people. It's a pretty simple view of how people consume content.
It's like they just passively absorb it.
Right, like a sponge.
Yeah.
Soaking it all up, imitating everything they see.
Okay, I can already see where this might be. Oversimplifying things a bit.
Absolutely, yeah.
Like real life is more complicated than that, right?
It is.
Now, clearly, our world is broken, and boys are not only on a path to self-destruction, but destroying the women around them. So here's my question. How do we fix this problem? How do we fix it? It starts with the fathers. I hope you're looking at me. Men, fathers. We must mentor our men, our young men, into man masters. Now, for you women watching, don't get freaked out. What that means, and there's scriptural backing to it, is that young men are desperate to find someone who can coach them to master their fleshly desires and emotions. Listen, your son doesn't need a perfect dad, man. They don't. He needs a present one, okay? And it's our job to teach our boys the right path toward manhood, or as I like to call it, living life on the right frequency, okay? So let's talk about how can we help our future fathers and leaders live right. Here are 3 practical tools every father needs and they should use. Number 1, digital boundaries. Set screen time limits and talk openly about their online behavior. You're a father, you're not their friend, you're their father. But I want you to understand that they desperately want you to help them. You know, you're their biggest mentor in their life. So a great tool, if you haven't used it, men, is Ever Accountable. And you'll need to sit down and explain to your son, I love you, okay? I can do this with you. Your mom can. I think it'd be best if you as a father does this with your son. But if you download the app, Ever Accountable, on the phone, and it's a worth the investment of about $60 a year, it will allow your son to go to everywhere he wants. But once a week, it will notify you of everywhere your son went. And it doesn't in a way of love. It doesn't embarrass him, but it will allow you to know, dad, father, that your son's struggling. And this is an open chance to dialogue. That's when you want to sit down and you want to have real conversations, okay? If you see they are struggling, don't attack them. Don't judge them. Oh my God. He who is without guilt should cast the first stone. Men, I'm probably older than most of you. I'm 60 years old, okay? And I hope my brothers who are 60, 70, and 80 are watching, because we're in the fourth quarter of our life, guys. We are now coaches. As you know, in my book, The One Day Gift, which I think is right there, it teaches your fourth quarter of your life is your coaching years, and it's our job to coach other men, okay? So you're not there to judge. You're not there to embarrass. You're there to help them, because we all have been there. We all have struggled with this. I mean, you're talking to a guy here born in 65. I know I got guys on here in 55 and 1945 that you were born. And you know, you saw images in magazines. We all struggle with it. So don't beat up the young man. Take the time to help your son see a way to healing. Here's the problem. We are not valuing the women in our lives. We are not valuing our daughters, the daughters that God gave us. And to model masculinity, we must show them what strength, humility, and integrity looks like. Let me give you a couple scriptural references. I hope you write them down and memorize them and study them. I'm working myself. And by the way, guys, everything I talk to you about, okay, I'm trying to get better. I'm the one sometimes struggling. Now, thank God I've raised 4 great kids. I have 2 boys, as most of you know, who are 138, 134, and then my 2 daughters who are 30 and 28. And my wife and I have done our very best to raise them in a godly, healthy environment of morality. But I went through my own struggles. If you guys have watched my episodes, you know that the entire series, The Manhood Frequency, is because I almost destroyed everything. Even after I'd been a Christian for 20 years, walking as a disciple, I got off the wrong path, got off the wrong frequency, dialed down to the me frequency, and almost lost it all. So what I'm talking and sharing with you is stuff that I learned the hard way. I've been peeled down. The layers have been coming down, and I hope this will help you so you don't make the same mistakes I do. So here's a couple scriptures. 1, we need to first teach our boys to both love and fear the Lord. People always go, fear the Lord. You want me to be afraid of God? No, that is a reverential fear. That is a both loving. Oh, you guys remember, if you had hopefully a good father, I know a lot of us didn't, but if you did, you know, it's both you love your dad, but you're also a little intimidated. Dad's powerful, man. Dad's big. Remember talking about when you're like 4 years old, 3 years old, but you run to your daddy because you know he'll protect you, right? That's that balance. In Jeremiah 17:10, it says, I, the Lord, search the heart and test the mind to give every man according to his ways, according to the fruits of his deeds. That's powerful, guys. That is a powerful, powerful message to both us fathers and to our sons. You know, we are going to be measured and given every man according to his ways, according to the fruits of his deeds. What are your fruits? What fruit have you created in your life? In Proverbs 9:10, it says, the fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom. What, Hank? The fear of the Lord is beginning wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. We need more insight. We need more wisdom on this earth, and it's so true. Guys, I literally pray every morning, God, give me more wisdom than the day before, because I want to honor you. And this is what we fathers need to pray. And we need to teach our sons. We need to teach our sons this same story. Secondly, you need to love others more than you love yourself. Here's the biggest mistake, that we, through this little device, have fallen too much love of ourselves, too much narcissism. We have dialed down to this me frequency, and we're treating women, you know, as lesser than we are. Guys, it is so important to love others more than you love yourself. Philippians 2, 3, and 4 say, do nothing from selfish ambition or conceit, but in humility count you others more significant than yourselves. Guys, there is no one on this earth that should be less important than you. In fact, they all should be more important, because you don't need to be important. God's made you. He's created you. He's giving you the gift of life. You are important enough in his eyes, so you don't need to tell everyone else how important you are. And by the way, if you want to know the greatest struggle I have, it's been that constant challenge for my life, the constant battle because of rejection from a father and rejection from, other boys in my community. I've always desperately fought to try to be somebody, to be important. Earlier, you heard, my voice on that example with Elon Musk. I do voiceovers. So that one was, some of them are live, some of them are through clone. But, I find that it's so cool that my voice is out there, and most of you probably notice now, wow, I've heard your voice everywhere. Well, the reality is that I thought it was so cool. And then I realized, who cares? Who really cares? Yes, my voice is on millions and millions and millions of views of around the world. But in the big scheme of things, if it's not helping someone, what does it matter, right? One practical step, and I want to give you men before we go today, is called the 20-year gate. If you haven't read my book, I encourage you to read The Manhood Frequency, where I talk about the weapons of warfare and how, if God has given us tools, weapons that we can use to overcome evil, what I call in the book, the meat feeder. And that meat feeder is dark and deadly, and it wants to take us all down. But there are weapons that we can have, and one of them is to see the women through the eyes that God has given us to see them. And I call it the 20-year gate. I talk about leaving that life of pridefulness, me frequency, narcissism, and backing out of that and becoming more and more like God. And as we begin to dial towards the life that he wants us to live, the he frequency, not the me frequency, the way he wants us to do that is to see women differently. I call it the 20-year gate because it's 20. So if you're a 40-year-old man, right, and there's women that you're seeing between 60 and 80, they'd be your mothers. They could have had you as a mother. But within that 20 years, 40 to 60 and 40 down to 20, they could be your sisters. You need to see them as your sisters. Stop seeing them as a sexual object. And then women in 20 and under, my God, I know there's some of you women are completely disgusted by it, but there are men out there walking around 60s looking at girls who are 19, 20, 18, and looking at them as a sexual objects. They are your daughters, for God's sake, man. Now, for me, a guy 60, I see girls now 18, 19, I'm going, that's my granddaughter. There's this beautiful young girl, her name's M, and she's probably 18. She is the sweetest girl, loves God, and she always says hi to me when I drive through Starbucks. She works at Starbucks. She makes an effort to come and say hello. And I saw her today, and I just said, Em, you look so lovely. I said, you're growing into a great, a great, fine woman. And as I drove away, I thought, this girl is, if I recall correctly, 19 years old, and I'm 60. She could be my granddaughter. Does that blow your mind? Blows mine. So, practically speaking, what's the call to action today, guys? What's your CTA call to action? It's the 20-year gate. Start walking through that gate and seeing a woman as either a mother, a sister, or a daughter. In the Manhood Frequency, we talk about this, living life on the right frequency. And I want to leave you with two thoughts. Becoming real, raw, and rebuilt. That's what we say in our book, so that you can have a clear conscience and a quiet confidence. Men, there is nothing more beautiful than to become raw with yourself and be honest, so that you can get peeled away in life and remove those inconsistencies, those immoral behaviors, that darkness of heart, so that in the morning when you wake up, you hear the voice from God, welcome, good morning, a gift of another day, and you have a clear conscience and a quiet confidence in God that he's going to take you on a great adventure. These aren't just ideals, gentlemen. They're actionable steps, okay? So here's what I want you to do. Ask yourself today, what frequency am I broadcasting to my family, my team, my community? In fact, what I'd like you to do is go to the comments and put down some of these struggles. What are you struggling with? What frequency are you broadcasting on to your family, to your team, and to your community? How do people perceive you? What do you think it is? And if you're having a battle, share it with us. We'd love to pray for you. And in fact, let me just share this. I'd encourage you guys to pray for our art channel. We are looking over the next 90 days to reach 1,000 subscribers. It doesn't seem like a lot. People have millions, but you know what? That's 1,000 men that want to be transformed into the best that God will ever know, or that the world will ever know. So keep us in your prayers, and then smash the like button and subscribe and share it with your friends. And I would just say today, before we go, may the Lord bless you and keep you and cause his face to shine upon you. And may you live life with a clear conscience and a quiet confidence as you get on that journey towards becoming a TMF warrior. We'll see you next time.